Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Each year, the senior class chooses a delegate speaker to deliver an address during the graduation ceremony. Usually, this speaker is a teacher with whom the class has made a strong bond over the years, someone who they turn to when they need advice, a laugh, or a shoulder to cry on. This year, the class of 2020 has chosen such a teacher to deliver such an address. Our delegate speaker, please allow me to introduce Mr. John Thompson.
Seniors, I was surprised and thrilled to hear that you voted me to be the graduation speaker. I am deeply honored to be one of your teachers. I'm not going to reminisce about your moments at GAA, achievements, low points and struggles, friendships and memories. I'm going to leave that to more qualified and more sentimental people than me. Instead, at this end, I want to pause for a moment of reflection to think with you a little bit about your futures. It's been a strange last few months. The coronavirus and what some sociologists have been calling the Great Isolation has dominated the world. I cannot recall any event in my lifetime that has been so far-reaching. We have all been called to adapt to the coronavirus world in some capacity, and people have called this the new normal. Let's hope that this time is anything but that. To you seniors, graduating in this strange time, I believe I can speak for all the faculty members and parents who have all seen and know what has been lost when I say, I am truly sorry. We are sorry that usual rites of passage for high school seniors has been and will be absent from these last couple of months of your high school career. But, as is the case with human life, all is not lost. The sun comes up. And I hope that for you, some of this time in isolation has been spent or will be spent in thought about your futures as people in this uncertain world. If you will permit me, I want to share with you some of the things I've thought about during this time. To start, I want you to imagine a future scenario. Imagine yourself a few months from now in an imaginary conversation with your imaginary roommate in some faraway university dorm room. Because university is not like high school. You have an extremely heavy workload that requires you to study 20 hours a week, and sometimes leads to the moment that you currently find yourself in. 3 a.m., a dreary dorm room, engaged in an epic battle with your economics textbook studying actuarial and financial modeling. Sounds great, huh? Just then, your roommate walks in and asks you, what in the world are you doing? Many of us, parents and teachers in this virtual room, know what this is like. We had to do it. Seniors, you don't know what this is like. You don't know what this is. It's not the same thing as procrastinating on your high school work and having to eke it out the night before it's due. But don't worry, you will soon experience this. As for your answer to your roommate, I imagine the conversation going something like this. I'm having to read these chapters in this textbook. That's what I'm doing. Why do that? Because it's going to be on the midterm on Thursday. Why do you care about the midterm? Because I need to do well to get a good grade in class. Why do you need to get good grades? To get a job in investment banking. That's what I want to do. You can substitute any job you want there. Why do you want to be an investment banker? Well, I want to become a hedge fund manager someday. Why a hedge fund manager? To make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. Why do that? I don't know. I like to eat tenderloin steaks, and I like to do so often. I imagine a future where I get to eat as much steaks as I want. That's why I'm up late at night reading about investment and studying, so I can eat as much tenderloin steaks as I want. It appears then that this imaginary answer to all this time studying, all this work, all those late nights is the desire to gorge yourself on tenderloin steak. Now, that might seem silly to you, and admittedly, it is a little bit silly. It's kind of supposed to be. But isn't it just as silly to substitute anything in place of tenderloin steaks? Buying a new house, having a nice car, having people think highly of you, feeling accomplished. All of these things, I submit to you, are just as silly and just as silly reasons to put all that work in education as eating tenderloin steaks. Thinking about education as merely a means to an end won't help you get through those grueling late-night study sessions, which are about to become part of your weekly, possibly even daily routine for the next few years. That gets me to what I've been thinking a lot about. If hedonistic steak consumption is not the goal of education, then what is? I want to give you an answer. I don't think it's the only answer, but I think it's one of the answers that are right. Education is really about freedom, true freedom, the freedom to choose and construct how you want your life to be. Now, you may raise an objection to me. You may say, I'm free, and I don't need university or education to be free. Let me tell you what I mean when I say freedom. To be truly free, you need to be self-directed. Nothing external to yourself can be your master. Think back to our imaginary conversation with our imaginary roommate on our steak-gorging self. Every step for him or her was because of something or for something external. That isn't freedom. That's slavery. Now, I am not suggesting that every act we make can't be for something. Sometimes I face days where my only motivation is getting that paycheck. But these acts and days should be rare and far between. In the end, you must be doing things for something more meaningful than eating steaks. What that is, what that purpose, what some might call the meaning of life, is what education gives you the time and tools to consider. Education is a conversation with ourselves, others, and plenty who have come before us in life. What you have to do is enter that conversation and stick with it. The coronavirus is not a time for inaction, if inaction means doing nothing. It is time to face down some of these things we've been talking about, to think about them and prepare ourselves for our lives, and in your case, for your university careers. It's time for us to reflect on things like our purposes, who we want to be in life, how do we exist in this post-COVID-19 world, and why do you want the things that you want? Why go to university anyways? Let me give you a few starters just to get you going. Life, as we are forced to see it now more than ever, is characterized by change and unpredictability. The art of living resembles wrestling more than dancing. You must be prepared and unshaken to meet what comes and what you did not foresee. Hope is powerful. There are lots of doomsday scenarios out there about the future. The good ones are just as likely. Have hope. Anything that is humanly accomplishable, meaning someone else has done it, is within your grasp. There have been great people and people who have done great things in the world. If you can't be one, be the other. Leave everything better than how you found it. Value family and friends, old and new. Be adventurous and brave. Be kind and understanding. Live simply and cheerfully. Don't complain. Be tough. And always remember that you are not alone. Everyone is trying to do all of these things. It doesn't matter if you fail. What matters is that you try. Some days you will fail. And some days you just won't want to try. Some days you just want that paycheck. What matters is that you keep trying. Please do not hear anything I've said as some attempts at moralizing or grandstanding and putting myself forward as some great example of these things, because I'm not. There are plenty of these things that I fail at myself. But these are standards and goals that I strive for, that we all should strive for. Isn't that kind of the point of education? My list could go on, and it's a really long ceremony, and I'm sure you were ready to just hear your name get on with it, so I'm going to stop there. But my hope is that months from now, when it's 3 a.m., things seem bleak. You're looking at that large, expensive, and cumbersome economics textbook and asking yourself why. Why do this? And then your nosy roommate walks in and says, "What are you doing?" My hope is that you'll have a better answer than, "I'm doing this so I can eat more steaks." If you do, if you have a better answer, if you have thought about it, and you know what that answer is, then consider yourself truly engaged in education. Class of 2020, I wish you nothing but the best. And my hope for you is that you won't see this graduation ceremony as an end, but rather a movement into a new era of your own education. And that's really life. Good luck.